Hello, and welcome to the Inner Mind Code podcast. I'm here this morning with two gentlemen, not just the one. We have Stuart Chung, as always, and we have a guest, a very interesting
Yeah,
guest. I'm looking forward to talking to him, Turan Mirza. Got his name right.
perfect.
So, Turan, God, we met quite a few years ago now. Must be at least 10, if
About
not
11,
more.
12 years maybe,
Maybe 11. We'll stick that extra one.
when you were still in your teens.
Oh, yes. Um, anyway, so moving on. We're looking at hypnosis. We're looking at how hypnosis helps. Can it help? It really is our title of the day. Can it help? How does it help? Turan is going to explain, enlighten us, and share some of his experiences with working with clients. So, Turan, to kick off, what drew you into the hypnosis field? What was it that made you want to go in there and get yourself qualified? Does obviously have to be licensed. It's not just something you can wake up and do overnight.
That's a lovely starter question, perfect question. People always
Okay.
ask me, how do you get into this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was a software engineer, a software manager, and at the time a director of engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
managing software engineers, electronics engineers, mechanical engineers.
Yes.
I'm a very scientific person.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little bit of magic for my four kids. I should have,
Four.
I should have had a coin at this stage, but I would go things like, "Oh, where'd that memory stick come from? Came from behind your ear." Um, what I call silly dad magic, nothing
Oh.
spectacular,
I do it all the time.
David, that's it, you know. And so I was watching actually Derren Brown,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully Darren Brown, and he did something cool. And if you watch his shows, he says, let me get it right. It's magic, illusion, misdirection, psychology,
Yes.
and something else. But what he doesn't say, and hypnosis. So I
Right.
just
Okay. Yeah.
another magic trick or psychological magic trick,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we're talking back 2010 when the internet
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as
Popular.
rich as it is today in content.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time, and I realized this is hypnosis. It's not magic. So I
Mm-hmm.
started buying a few books and started, watching a few DVDs and stuff. And I said, what's the trick to this? What how does this actually work? I just, it's hard to understand just from reading a book, especially. Um,
Mm-hmm.
does this stuff actually work? So I ended up
Yes.
going on a training course. It's just a 2-day training course just to learn the basics of hypnosis. And I hypnotized my first person at the airport on the way back.
Oh, wow.
And I'll say the phrase, thankfully it worked.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. For them.
and
Andrew.
for both of us. And that
Mm-hmm.
just gave me 100%, steel confidence to just go out and practice it a bit more. And again, because it was just a hobby, I'll say the phrase, and it sounds such a strange phrase, I had no intentions of helping people in the
Oh, right.
context
Okay.
of
That's
therapy.
interesting. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to understand this, maybe do a few wee tricks for the kids or something like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
got the bug. I got the bug, so I thought that worked
Fantastic.
once, will it work again? So I
Mm.
went out just on the streets of Belfast and just stopped people and say, "Here, do you want to see something really cool?"
Oh,
And I
you
would
did that.
hypnotize them.
Yeah.
That's it. Uh,
Fantastic.
and from there, it just this hobby, this interest, this curiosity just grew,
Mm-hmm.
and then I taught my son how to do it. So the two of us would go out.
Oh, wow.
Belfast. That's
You're
it. So it was
my
a nice wee
wife.
bonding parent moment as well. Um, And it was actually my
Brilliant.
son in terms of the YouTube channel. So I've got the YouTube channel Feelgood Hypnosis. If you search
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, I've now got about 1.6 million views. But if you scroll right down to
Marvelous.
the very first two videos, they were my
Uh-huh.
son. He went away to one of these charity events in I think it was Romania or something, helping to
Uh-huh.
rebuild orphanage. And in the evenings, they would all get together for a bit of fun. And he hypnotized someone, and he put that video up and then said, "There's a
Fantastic.
YouTube
Brilliant.
channel for you," and through me goals to create the rest of the YouTube channel. But the very first two videos is him, and there's a few others
Mm-hmm.
that, but it's mainly myself. So
Yes.
I've lost track of the question. That's how I got started.
That's how you got started.
That's
Yeah,
my
that's
personal
brilliant.
journey. From then, uh,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's typical. what they call skits, fun things to do with people that you've hypnotized. I would maybe just hypnotize someone, say your feet are stuck to the floor, you cannot move from this spot, and you'll see,
Yes.
I can't move. Or another
Hmm.
one is name amnesia. I'm going to say in a moment, you're going to open your eyes, and when you open your eyes, you cannot remember your name, and it's just stuck at the back of your mind. You cannot say it.
Hmm. That's a horrible
Uh,
feeling to have in normal life. Never mind being.
we'll circle back. We'll circle back to that.
Yes, yes, sorry.
I
Yes,
do work with menopause issues as well, but
yes, I'm not there yet, but yeah. Any
not to do there yet. But anyway, um, so
on the
somebody
brink,
came up
on
to
the
me.
brink. Hmm.
Came up to me and says, "Here, you made him forget his name. Can you make me forget I smoke?" Now, at that
Yes.
time, all I'd done really is learn the basics of an understanding of hypnosis, and I'd practiced it probably over 200-300 times now, sticking people's feet to the floor, making them forget their name, that sort of
Hmm.
stuff.
The fun stuff,
Um,
yeah.
so I hadn't done what I would call the therapeutic side,
Hmm.
and with stop smoking, I mean, anxieties and depressions,
Hmm.
that therapeutic, but stop smoking, is that therapy? Is that just a bit of hypnosis? So I thought, let's give it a
Mm.
go.
Yeah,
The worst that
addictions,
can
yeah.
happen, the worst that can happen is nothing changes.
Yes,
So
true.
I hypnotized them as I would hypnotize someone for name amnesia, but instead of saying in a moment, you're going to open your eyes, you will not remember your name, I said, you will not remember your smoke. Even if you hold a cigarette, it just doesn't feel like you're holding a cigarette. It's just alien to you. It just doesn't feel right. And you can see other people smoking, but it doesn't attract you or incentivize you in any way. 1, 2, 3, wide
Hmm.
awake. Not
Yeah,
far off. I'm abbreviating
yeah.
slightly, but not far off that. And I see that guy regularly today. And that's, we're talking probably 13, 14 years ago. Still doesn't smoke.
Mm, amazing. Yeah.
And,
Brilliant.
and,
Can we
and from there,
rewind?
it just snowballed. Sorry,
Can,
Stuart.
can we rewind just a little bit, Turan? What exactly is hypnosis? So for somebody looking at this today that doesn't know what hypnosis is, what would you say hypnosis is?
I'm going to say, I have no idea. If you
Yeah.
have, among my YouTube channels, I have a few little promo videos and stuff.
Hmm.
At corporate events and stuff. And there's a nice little sound clip of me saying, if you ask 100 hypnotists, you'll get 100 different answers,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there is textbook answers.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you now, every client, and I'll say the phrase, I'm not exaggerating, every client that comes in the door goes, wow, I didn't think it was going to be that, because they were thinking it was going to be something else. The
Yes,
sort of
yeah.
textbook answer is that you've got a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. Okay,
Hmm.
now that in itself is a metaphor. It's crazy to even that is not real, because you don't have two parts to your mind. It's just one big brain in the way it thinks. But
Hmm.
as I would say, again, if I'm doing presentations, and do this now, I'll ask people, touch your nose,
Hmm.
touch, do it now. There you go. Did you think about curling your fingers? Did you think about moving your shoulder, your elbow, or your wrist
No.
just now? And you put your hand down
No.
there. All those things. I mean, seriously, did you think about, you had to move your elbow or move your
No.
shoulder joint? Your elbow was probably like this here, and you had to move your elbow. You had to rotate your wrist. And again, you could
Hmm.
have done this. You could have done
Yeah,
this. Whether it
that's
was
true.
because you were
Yes.
copying me, you could have done this with your thumbs up, but most people do what I was doing, and
Hmm.
even think about moving your fingers or thumbs. That was all done without you
Yes.
even thinking about it. I didn't touch your
Mhm.
hand. I didn't move your shoulder.
Hmm.
You did it, but with the part of your brain that does it without even you thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, my
Yeah.
uh, 1.25-year-old grandson, he's just started walking, and
Oh,
within
yeah.
within days of walking, he's lifting up toy boxes, which again, from my electronics engineering days, that clearly offsets the center of balance. How, 1 minute he couldn't walk. Now he can walk where his center of balance is outside of his footprint, and he still manages
Mm.
to carry things around. This is, he's not thinking about that. He's not engineering like I would engineer and say, right, center of mass, I need to keep this tight to my body, whatever.
Yes.
He's just doing it.
Yeah.
These are
Hmm.
that's the unconscious mind. So the thing is, there's what they call, and again, the textbooks is a critical faculty.
Mm-hmm.
not critical factor. Some people call it the critical factor, critical faculty. And that's
Mm-hmm.
like the questioning mind between the conscious and the unconscious. So you might
Okay,
meet
yeah.
someone, you're going to buy a new car, and I'm going to show my age and say Arthur Daly. Probably a lot of people, maybe even you,
I know
Victoria,
who Arthur is, yes.
Hmm.
you know,
Through my
wise
dad,
guys,
of
sales
course,
guy.
through my dad.
Or what do you call it? Only fools and horses? What do you call that guy?
Yeah.
But
Del Boy.
you might
Cowboy.
say, oh boy, so you might say, oh, this is a bit of a Del Boy, or oh, I trust this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's going to sell me a good car here. That's the critical faculty kicking in. That's the analytical
Yes.
part saying, do I
Okay.
let this person into my safe area where I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to analyze what he's saying? I can just trust what he's saying.
Okay,
Okay, so
yes.
that's the critical faculty between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Once it goes into
Yeah.
the unconscious mind, this guy's safe. Next time you see him, you go, and you just react friendly as opposed to, oh, is he going to sell me a dodgy
Right.
VHS? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the textbook of the conscious and the unconscious mind. And the definition, the sort of textbook definition, is bypassing that critical faculty and talking
Mm-hmm.
straight to the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Okay. Makes sense.
So that's the you know what a
Yeah.
crazy drawn out definition of hypnosis. Really, hypnosis
Yeah.
is about, as I said to people, I'm not when I hypnotize someone, I'm not doing something to them. I'm talking to them and getting them to connect their conscious and their unconscious mind together. So if
Yes.
someone wants to stop smoking, and if you know anybody, you look too healthy to be smokers, but if you know anybody to be a smoker that's trying to quit, they'll probably wake up one morning and say, I'm not going to smoke. And they'll be standing at 12 o'clock talking to you and go, oh, I wasn't going to light that today. I wasn't going to smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's almost as if, again, just like you moved your elbow and moved your shoulder, moved your elbow to touch your nose, they've
Mm-hmm.
reached for cigarettes, or they've even spent 3 minutes rolling one, and they've reached for the lighter or the matches, they've lit it, and they've drawn,
You're
a
high
cigarette.
thinking, yeah.
Even thinking about it, that's the
Mm-hmm.
automatic response. So they've maybe feeling a wheeze in their chest, maybe they're um, it's costing them a bit more money these days, and they just want to
Mm-hmm.
stop. So all the factors are there that want them to stop, but they're so automatic it happens without them thinking about it. And it's
Yes.
about getting their conscious mind to say, here. So it's not me as much saying the suggestion you will stop smoking. It's
Mm-hmm.
about, you know, directing their conscious mind to their unconscious mind and allowing them to
Yes.
say, I want to stop doing this thing that you can make me do automatically.
Mm-hmm. So
That
it's like
that to
a
me is a sort of nicer definition.
makes
So,
sense because I come from. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stu.
yeah, no, I was just going to say, well, you go ahead, you go ahead, because
No, I
what's
was going
this
to say
earlier?
just when you said I smiled at the start and you said computer software engineer because
Yeah,
I come from an IT background too, so I understand. It's a really I explain it like your mind's like a computer and you put crap in, you get crap out. So
yeah,
you're working with that program, you're going to find what's causing the program
Perfect.
to put that output. So I can understand you would understand the mind because a lot that's where the computer was built from. Bill Gates was a psychology student. So he built the computer with little boxes and all our data goes into boxes and then it does whatever with the boxes to,
Exactly. Exactly. I
yeah.
mean,
So
I often
it's
say, I often
similar,
say that,
simple way of,
yeah,
yeah.
the computer is like, I mean, the computer's basically modeled on how would we fix this problem in a certain way. So, I mean, it's
Yes,
not that
yeah,
computers are like humans. It's like the humans have made them and the computers to process things like they
exactly.
would. We think about it.
Yeah, like our technology in our brain. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is about the programming. And the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing is, as we in the IT industry would know that if you write software, say for instance somebody wants to have first name and last name on a screen, but you put
Mm-hmm.
last name and first name on the screen, so
Yes.
you didn't read the customer specification and you wrote it in the wrong way, the
Mm-hmm.
program will run. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the CPU. There's nothing wrong with the keyboard or the screen.
No.
The computer, the computer, the body is just fine. It's been programmed to do the wrong thing. It's
Yes.
programmed not to do what the
Exactly.
customer wants. In this case, in hypnosis, the customer is the person that's running the wrong program. So it's as
Yes.
simple as getting them to rewrite the program.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And
Yeah. 'Cause that's yeah. My understanding of addictions is something else is controlling it under the surface. And once you get down under the surface to find out what childhood thing happened, what, whatever it is, I
Exactly.
suppose that's where the neuro-linguistic programming comes in, the NLP, in terms of
Mhm.
what's running and under. So that, this is how we met at a similar event, in terms of,
Indeed.
yeah, these are still things that can help us understand our brain, because it's such a complex organ. We've all got one. um but it's using it in the right way and knowing how it works, because we're not born with a manual. We're
Yeah,
given
You
one.
know,
100%.
I'm constantly going to go back to analogies about with my grandson, because
That's
another thing
fine, yeah.
is,
Good.
um, under clear supervision. I will add this before I start this conversation, but I
Hmm.
will set him on our bed, which is decently high off the ground, and he'll just
Yes.
swing his leg over to get down onto the floor without any fear, any understanding of you know
Mm.
relative to him. I mean, the bed probably comes up above his head, and he
Yes.
just he
Yeah.
doesn't think about it. We're not born. There's a rule of thumb that says we're only born with two fears: the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling.
Right.
And again, this is third party, so I don't know the validity of this, but I've
Hmm.
seen talking about where they would put like a 4 month old child on a glass floor suspended,
Mhm.
and he just crawls along the glass floor, and then after
Hmm.
about a year, put the same child, and he's a bit more cautious about climbing over the glass floor.
Yes.
So even I don't even think fear of falling or fear of heights is inbuilt. That's just my personal opinion.
Hmm.
Research on that, but
Yeah.
but I see that in my grandson. I think if proportionally I was throwing my legs over something that was higher than myself, I'd be saying,
Hmm.
I could do my hip in. Maybe it's just my age, but he just right. I need to get down. I want to go, see Granny in the other
Uh-huh.
room, and
Yes.
he doesn't think about it, and
Mhm.
so we're not born with anything. We're not born with
Mhm.
anything in my mind,
Yes. We're,
and it's just
we're
what we've
blind.
learned. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm
Stuart, you had a
curious,
question?
actually.
Yeah.
Well, this is a different question, actually. Just speaking there, do you feel that there's a connection between the subconscious mind and muscle memory? Some people say that muscle memory can be inherited from your parents, and there's in-depth research into that as well. So, do you feel that there's a connection between muscle memory and the subconscious mind, or what would your take be on it?
Well, I don't want to ruffle feathers with anybody. To me, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
The
Right.
same thing.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a tennis player or talking about a golfer, and just it automatically gets that smooth shot, and they say, "Oh, he's got great muscle memory," right? But
Mm.
and again, there's research where there's neurons in your stomach. So when they say your gut instinct, uh,
Hmm.
the neurons that make up your brain, there's neurons in your stomach. There's, to my knowledge, there's no research on there's neurons in your muscles. So the muscles don't have a memory. It's your unconscious mind. In the same way as, again, going back to that simple
Yes.
experiment,
Hmm.
you know, there wasn't memory, muscle memory to know that if I need to touch my arms, this is the right angle to put those
Hmm.
joints in. It's your unconscious mind controlling those joints. You
Hmm.
know,
So you
I
feel that somebody could have inherited a subconscious mind to be able
again,
to do certain things?
there are white papers. There's research on memories being passed down from person to person.
Mm.
And again,
Yeah.
that's where, again, touch on a controversial for some people is past life regressions and stuff.
Oh,
Mm.
We can go
yes.
back to previous lives and previous memories.
Hmm.
Um, I do it. I've done it for people. It's for at times it's spontaneously,
Yes.
I haven't been purposely asked them to go back to a previous life. But I'll
Hmm.
say, what age were you when you first had this fear of heights, for instance? And they'll say, 107 or whatever. It hasn't been that numbers. But, and I'm thinking, I'm
Yes.
talking to a 34-year-old and he's saying 54 or whatever.
Hmm.
So, but is that, for me, I keep an open mind. I say real or imagined.
Yes. I
That's the way
was.
I survive. Is a lovely phrase. Is this real or
Yeah.
imagined? Doesn't really matter. It's
I've.
the thing is, it's real in their mind. I mean, people have come
Hmm.
to me with things like fear of butterflies. Obviously, fear of spiders. Everybody, it's a common thing people talk about. But fear of
Mm-hmm.
butterflies, fear of white picket fences, fear of tall
Mm-hmm.
grass. I've worked with all
Uh-huh.
those things. And people will
Mm-hmm.
come in and say, "Oh, I know I'm silly, but this,
Yes, yes.
this."
Well, here's one for you. I have a fear of anteaters or aardvarks. For some strange, I think I had a dream of
I didn't know this.
someone, yeah, sticking their tongue in my ear. I woke up and I was like, "What the hell was that?" So ever since then, I've had a fear of aardvarks or
There you go.
anteaters, and it's ridiculous because where am I going to find one in Ireland? Go
That's
to a
it.
zoo maybe.
That's it. I mean, the fear of tall grass, for instance, again, sounds strange, but this was
Mm,
a hiker and she loved hiking. But if she would be crossing
Well,
a mountain
yes.
or a hill where there was
Mm,
really tall grass, she would just, not want to go near it. She'd just feel anxious, feel uneasy, and she would circumnavigate around that field.
uh-huh.
But that's real. That's not
It's real
silly.
to
That's
them.
real. It is 100%
Yeah.
real to them in their mind. It's no
mm,
difference than seeing a tiger
Mm-hmm.
or a Tyrannosaurus Rex coming to eat you. They have that panic and say, I need to get out of here. And,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's a
that's because
survival.
the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
That's right, yeah. Which
That's
is
it.
opens up so many doors. No, my little sister-in-law, my youngest one, she had a fear of white fluffy things. So cotton wool, snow, cotton candy, all those
Yeah.
sort of things. And I
mhm,
know now years later looking back, because I thought myself straight away that must be a past life. Because my first ever experience in a
mhm,
hypnotic session was to look at something else, and all this past life in Germany came up, and it made sense. And some of the facts I checked out because she kept asking me my name, and I kept saying Athel, and she said Ethel, and I kept correcting her, and because she recorded it, and I kept correcting her. When I looked it up, Athel was a German name, and it's a name that can be, like Leslie. It can be a boy or a girl's
Yeah.
name. I didn't even know Germany because I've been to Germany, but I'd never really been up to the north. So I didn't know Germany had a coastline. And in this life, I lived in a little white cottage with a red door and all these animals around it. And it was on a pebble beach. And when I looked in the geography of it, it was like, oh, there is the North Sea there. I don't know why I didn't know this. It was just, but it was quite a traumatic past life. So it unlocked
Yeah.
a huge amount of things over the next few years. But obviously, I'd locked a lot of stuff away, and it all just came pouring out. And she had talked about one of the subjects that came up, but it turned out to be a past life with my now ex-husband. And the minute I got that all resolved and healed, the marriage came to a natural end 6 months later. It was like she helped
Very
me
good.
unlock something.
Yeah.
I hear this all the time. I went to hypnotist, I went to coach, went to Tony Robbins, and my marriage ended. But I said it's not for him. It was something in your
Yeah.
mind. You had to learn something. I think that's no matter what vehicle, whether you're using hypnosis, coaching, or whatever, NLP, whatever you're using, if something has to be unlocked to get you on your way. Because I could have spent years
mm,
just going around in circles and being in that marriage and wondering why I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But it was part of the path and the platform to go from the IT world into the self-help and personal development. Because then I had my own personal, I couldn't have learned it from a textbook. There's things you have to experience yourself, and we all have to go through that. And these tools are out there. And people like yourself, like ourselves, sorry, should I say, there to help us, or to help them. We have to help ourselves first, and then we're in a better place to help our
Exactly.
clients and the people we encounter. So yeah, no, it's nice. I'm really enjoying this deep dive into hypnosis
That's
because
it.
of the mind element. But I think Stuart had another question there, didn't you?
what was my question? Yeah, you- um, what would you see is the biggest mental barrier today that you're coming across in people in helping them set themselves free or getting to the next level?
Mhm.
Is there anything that's maybe commonplace that you're seeing? Is there something that's coming up a lot? So what would you see as that mental barrier, the most common one?
I mean, the most common is, and again, this one word sort of encapsulates 90% of most people's problems is just anxiety. But again, even
Yes.
phobia, if you have a fear of flying or a fear of tall grass, whatever, um,
Uh-huh.
anteater stare set, um, that's
Sure.
feeling anxious around airplanes or around tall grass or around whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, uh, Equally, again, a lot of people. I'm seeing someone next week about driving issues. And these are
Oh,
people that
right.
haven't had a car crash, haven't had
Mm-hmm.
some traumatic, to their knowledge, experience. Yet all of a
Yes.
sudden, oh, I feel very anxious every time I go onto a motorway and I have to take the long route via B roads and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and again, they're coming to you saying there's no clear issue here,
Mm-hmm.
right through to just again sitting watching TV on a Friday night, chilling, and all of a sudden I'm feeling panicky, sort of anxious and panicky attacks, that sort of thing. So
That, yes, that
you
happened to
know,
me. Sorry, just
yeah,
to give a real life experience. Dango Unchained,
yeah,
the movie, something about, I can't remember the exact thing that happened. I had to leave the room. I just burst into uncontrollable tears. And
that's
it
it.
was something about the guy and the whatever happened. I can't remember now because obviously I've blanked it out. But I just remember it was uncontrollable emotion outlet and I had to go and let it out. I knew I was having some sort of release and I could only put it down again to maybe a past life at that time era that it was set in because I
Yeah.
resonated so much. But it was just like this deep sorrow and grief came up. And I just left the rooms. I didn't want to
That's
ruin
it.
the movie for everybody else. I just said, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll watch it again if I have to. And it was
Uh,
just,
uh,
I couldn't control it. It just happened. And it's like,
exactly. And
weird.
again, when
Yeah.
you're talking about leaving the room, for a lot of people I work with, something like fear of
Mm-hmm.
flying, they can't even watch an airplane take off
Right.
on the
Yes.
television.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not,
Wow.
when you think of fear of flying, you think, oh, if they get to the airport and they're standing feet away from the airplane, they'll feel anxious. Or the minute they
No.
walk up the stairs and sit in their chair, they feel anxious. These are people that haven't booked a holiday, no intentions or no plans to go anywhere
Mm.
on an airplane, sitting in their living room on solid ground, on their nice carpet or whatever,
Yeah.
in their own settee, and saying, I
Mm-hmm.
need to leave the room. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how powerful. And again, keep in mind all of these issues, whatever with the traumas, the depressions, the anxieties, your unconscious mind is trying to help you here. It
Yes.
thinks
Always.
it has learned from you, so that bypassing the
Mm-hmm.
critical faculty, the conscious mind has gone, oh, I need to get out of here. This is dangerous for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, right or wrong. And it's saying, right, to protect you, I'm going to give you this bad feeling that'll make you just want to leave the room or get out of the situation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the core ethos of hypnosis is, what's happening to you is happening for a good reason. It's
Mm-hmm.
just we need to re-educate you. It might
Yes.
be that when you were 2 years old, mum saw a spider and jumped up onto the kitchen table and screamed. Okay.
Yes, like the
That 2 year old's
cartoons
going
as
to go.
well.
So that's how you respond to a spider.
Yeah. It's learned
I'm going to learn
behavior.
this. I'm going to take this on.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then from there on in, they now have a fear of spiders because they saw their mother. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's not a trauma. That's not, they didn't experience anything personally. They just saw, oh, mum's scared and she jumped up on the table.
Yes.
And, that's how I'll respond from now on. And then
Mm-hmm.
develop that over time.
Yeah. It's conditioned.
That's
Almost
it.
set, yeah.
I've got a nice anecdote. It was a fear of roller coasters. And
Yes.
this was for an 11-year-old child.
Oh, wow.
And this was a good few years ago now, quite an early client. And so I do home visits as well. So in this
Mm-hmm.
situation, it was a home visit. And I generally record my sessions. It minimizes how much note taking I need to do. So I was getting my camera out to set it on a tripod.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, you've got a camera? I've got a YouTube channel. And I said, oh, do you? That's
Oh.
good. Well, we'll have to talk about that later. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, the other thing about working with children, I like the parent to be in the room so
Yeah.
they, number one, know what's been going on, and there may be elements of see what I did there, try and replicate that or whatever if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the mum, so we're the three of us going to do this hypnosis just here in the living room, or do you want to do it somewhere else? And she says, you two go into the dining room. And
Right.
she says, we talked about it and he'd rather just you and him work together. So as long as I had permission, it was all right. And we went into the dining room,
Mm-hmm.
set up the camera, and worked on his phobia of roller coasters. Again, they would go to Orlando, they would go to they
Mm-hmm.
call that one in England,
Wilton Towers,
Alton Towers and stuff.
the
And
nemesis.
that's it. And the whole family loved this culture of going to parks
Uh-huh.
and Disneyland, etc. But he wouldn't enjoy the experience, and he wanted
Oh,
to
poor
enjoy the
kid.
experience.
Yeah.
So I worked with him, and do you know what? We were sorted in about 25 minutes.
Wow.
Fantastic.
And
Yeah.
dare I say, this was a bit of an anxiety on my part. I thought, I can't go out to mum. She hasn't witnessed. This is another reason why I like the parents in the room. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happening and see the changes. So I just thought, let's burn a bit of time here. And I says,
Yeah.
should have turned that off. So I
Mm-hmm.
said to the boys, there's an iPad on the dining room table. I says, show us your YouTube channel. And he went, I says, what's wrong? He said, well, I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Oh.
So I says, great, we'll work on that too. So spend
Yes.
another 20 minutes, working with him to overcome that as well. And we watched the
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel, and it's, for 11-year-old, some great wee movies that they did made on YouTube. It was private,
Mm-hmm.
just for the family, but he shared
Yes.
it with. So I went out
Oh.
to the mum, and this was, like I said, a few years ago. So it was when Funderland, it was down in the Boucher Park.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Um, she says, so, how are things? And I says, well, we'll call him Little Johnny. What do you think of going to Funderland now? Oh, I can't wait. I'm really excited about
Wow.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Long story short, she sent, he went off to his bedroom, and I said, just to let you know, we worked on something else. And she went,
Mm-hmm.
sort of, what else was wrong with my child? I said, well, he didn't like the sound of his own voice. And she said, well, who does?
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I realized, that's where he learnt it from.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm just going to turn this thing up before it announces there's a car coming. And I said, so you taught him that? I didn't teach him that. And I had to explain to him that, you and your husband are probably bigger hypnotists than I could ever be, because you're
Yes.
around him every moment of the day. He
Mm-hmm.
looks up to you, he respects you, and he can get influenced by you. And you don't need to be staring him in the eyes and waving a pocket watch saying you will not like the sound of your own voice.
Yes.
That's not how hypnosis works. He can be sitting watching cartoons on the living room chair. You can be sitting nearby talking to your husband and say, oh, nobody likes the sound of their own voice. He's picking up on all those lessons.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sponge.
And I
Yeah.
bumped into
Like a
her
sponge.
a while later, and she says, oh, I was down, picking up little Johnny from school and telling all the parents that we're hypnotists and we're influencing us. Well, that's good. That's good. Be careful what you're saying around the kids, because you just
Mm-hmm.
never know what they're picking up. And I was actually talking to a friend recently, and what was the phrase he said? He says, when he was in school, his teacher said, your handwriting is going to be your downfall. Or was it your
Wow.
English is going to be your downfall? I think it was one. I think it was the latter. Your English is going to be your downfall.
Yeah.
And he said, even to this day, when I'm writing something, I can hear that teacher's voice in my head.
Yes, of course.
Anybody in authority, a parent, a teacher, a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the other one, obviously, don't want to get into the anti-vaxxers or whatever, whether you're
Oh
for
God,
or
no.
against. But during COVID, and I
Yeah.
went down to
Yes.
get my jab, and she says, this might hurt a little bit. I says,
Oh goodness.
on on a 100% scale, there's a 20% chance it might hurt. Would you agree? She said, yeah, about 20, whatever. So there's an 80% chance I won't feel it at all, or it might tickle. Maybe there's a 5% chance. Do you ever say to anybody, this actually might tickle? Because
Yes.
when you walk in that
Yes.
room and she says, this might hurt, it's like in the room and saying, I'm going to say it to you now, all the listeners listening, don't think of a pink elephant.
Yes.
Okay. What immediately comes to mind? Yeah. You can't help but think of a
Dumbo
pink
and
elephant
pink.
now.
Yes. Yeah.
When you walk into a room and somebody says, this might hurt, It might,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a very strong suggestion straight in there that, you know,
They
the
hear
word hurt is there,
absolutely yes.
you
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
And I says,
Yeah.
maybe try saying this just might tickle.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
And
very
Doctor
they
good.
might not feel a
Pimple
thing, but they'll
Popper
say,
says
I
that.
didn't feel a tickle, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't you go there.
She'll say.
Don't you go there with
Oh no, we had a
pimple
child
popper.
thing about pimple popping. Yeah, yeah, they're a pimple popper, you're not, as I discovered. Well, discovered that throughout the years. But no, she would say that she's just a little scratch or just a little, a little niggle. She'll play it down, I've noticed.
That's it.
Which I thought I know, but she's all about not causing pain. So people are flocking to her because they're like, no matter what happens, she's not gonna hurt me because that's her philosophy, that's her mantra.
Exactly.
Working with
Yeah.
people, she wants them to come out. And some people are saying, I could just fall asleep now. And she's got their cheek open or their arms open and she's taking out lumps, and they're like, oh, I'm so relaxed the whole time, and I'm like, that's amazing.
That at its core is hypnosis. It's not about eye closure. It's not about anything else. You'll
No,
see
no.
some dramatic fun stuff on the YouTube channel, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it is about language and
Yes.
language that we talk to ourselves via.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's coming from that subconscious place, so it's automatic language. It's the language
Mm-hmm.
we've been taught. Yeah.
Yes.
Can
Okay,
I
then.
can I ask two
Oh,
questions
yes.
there? So you mentioned earlier that 25 minutes was the result after spending with that child. What's the fastest turnaround you've had?
Um, it's hard to quantify that. It's hard to
Mm.
quantify that. I mean, in terms of putting someone into the hypnotic state, there's a lovely video, a 20-second induction.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, people can go into that hypnotic state within 20 seconds, and maybe within a minute, I can give them a suggestion to tell themselves. Again, remembering back to that
Right.
the definition I say, it's not about what I say. I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
talking to the conscious mind, and the conscious mind's then talking to the unconscious mind. For a lot of clients, they'll say, I can hear you talking in the background, but I was having my own conversation.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
a lot of times, you know, I've never done this. I probably never will. But, I could probably put someone in hypnosis and say, your conscious mind knows what it wants to change. So just you talk away and I'll go bananas, bread, milk, yogurt. And I could probably rhyme off my
Yeah.
list. Um, and they're having their own process because they're, I'm here today to stop smoking, or I'm here today to get rid of this anxiety.
Yes.
And they'll
Mm-hmm.
have that dialogue. So when I'm
Yeah.
talking, we'll give suggestions, and that's what you always hear. You never hear a hypnotic command, or maybe you do, but generally speaking, you hear hypnotic suggestions. All I'm doing is suggesting what they say to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an interpreter or a translator that you see in one of these UN things where everybody's got the headphones on,
That's
and
right.
one
Yeah.
guy's speaking, but it's the interpreter's telling him what's going on, sort of thing. And really,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just that mediator. Sound like meat eater there, didn't it?
In our
And
accent, yes.
I mean, one of the things I sometimes say is like I am, I don't know, post. I'm the Steven Spielberg, and you would
Yes.
be the Liam Neeson. I'll give you direction, but ultimately
Mm-hmm.
you have to deliver that performance in front of the camera.
Yes.
I guess, I can say no to turn a bit and speak like that there because the person's off camera there, or turn that way and speak that way. I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
direction and I'm giving
Yes.
suggestion, but the performance, the reason whatever Liam Neeson or whoever wins the Oscar and not the director every single time is because it's that person's doing the real heavy lifting.
Yes.
Steven
Yeah.
Spielberg, like me, gets best director,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the actors doing the performance at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I say you are going to do the performance. You're going to make the change yourself, and I love that concept. And again, all these things, as it were, are metaphors. It's just like the conscious and the unconscious mind. They're not really two parts. It's just one
Mm-hmm.
big brain. But they're fixing themselves. FIX, by the way, is a
Yes.
word in the hypnotic industry, so don't say that too many times. But they're fixing themselves. They're changing the way they think. And
Mm-hmm.
again, that's
Yes.
important in terms of these, regular myths. I'm not probing inside anybody's mind. I'm not seeing that time that you stole 5p out of your mother's purse when you
Oh,
were
yes.
10 years
Yes.
old. I can't
No.
see anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Mm.
given what I've already said, when I'm giving the direction and they're having the dialogue between, I have no idea what, and a lot of times,
Yes, unless they shared. Yeah.
people will come out of hypnosis saying, "Wow, I went back to when I was 6 years old and I was doing this or I was doing that." And I didn't mention sex. I didn't mention go back to,
Uh-huh.
when you lived in France, and like, wow, when I was 6, we went to France. And, oh, you took me back to that first day in that nice new house. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't mention France. I didn't mention 6 years old. I didn't say, go to the house. You know,
Mm.
but
Yeah, I wasn't
they
in
had
it.
that epiphany within
Uh-huh.
themselves. And
Yes.
that's I think one of the big advantages of hypnosis is,
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're seeing people with depressions and anxieties and traumas, Oma bombings and this, that, and the other, sexual abuse."
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hear the stories.
Yes, behind
And
them.
I don't need to know the stories. That's the beauty of
That's
hypnosis. This is not
yes.
psychoanalysis. Or tell me about it and I'll interpret it and say why you shouldn't feel the way you do.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
They already know exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a few of the videos, again, plugging the YouTube channel a lot, on the YouTube channel are what they call content free. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody will come up and say, "I'm feeling anxious about something." And I go, "Right, don't tell me what you're feeling anxious about, but I'll say, when you think about that thing, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc., and I can just talk about it as that thing and get
Yes.
them to feel differently about that thing." And I don't know
Yes.
whether it's a fear of clowns, fear of spiders, fear of airplanes, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're anxious about talking to their boss about a pay rise or whatever. All
Mm-hmm.
it is a thing, and I've helped them think differently about it by tapping into the unconscious mind.
Yes.
Mm.
And
So I don't
reprogramming.
come home at night with
Yeah.
baggage, in inverted commas, of
Mm-hmm.
how this woman was sexually abused as a child, or how this uh, guy was beaten up outside the pub at midnight or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm.
Because if people start to tell me, "Well, I was coming out of the
Yes.
pub, I had to do this." I have,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's online or in person, almost rudely, but again, they're here, and see me
Mm.
as the expert. So when I go, "Stop," they
Yeah.
go,
Yeah. Simon
"Oh,"
Cowell hand.
I
Stop.
that's it. I say, "Stop. You don't need to tell me the story. I
Yeah.
just
Mm.
want to know how you
And
felt
relive it.
when
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah.
when they,
Yeah.
and change the feeling. This is how I
Mm-hmm.
feel. This is how I want to feel, and I get from A to B without ever talking about the issue. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
love
Uh,
about this.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it'll fall into place
and
for
tell me,
them.
yeah,
Yes. Here's another question there.
yeah, I was going to ask, with somebody who's been diagnosed with ADHD or is neurodivergent, would hypnosis work for them, or have you come across somebody with ADHD or who's neurodivergent?
I work regularly with, a wide range of neurodivergent, diagnosis.
Mhm.
And it's not about fixing the ADHD, again, use the FAX word. It's about, they might have, I had a lovely and it's a nice rapport building. Um, oh, I can't even remember the issue. I just remember the rapport building. He was into building, it was a child client. What was it for now?
Mm.
But he was into building computers, and of course, right down my
Mm,
alley for
yeah.
my engineering
Yeah.
experiences. And I said, "So, oh, you build computers," and he would get the motherboard and put the memory in, put the CPU in.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Well, don't forget, make sure you put the heatsink compound in before you put the cooler on the CPU." And his face lit, you know, because he said, "Oh, the thermal paste, which is this heatsink compound, it just helps the connection, the thermal connection between the CPU and the
Mm-hmm.
cooler." If you know anything about PCs, uh,
Yes.
so we immediately bonded, and it didn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know. In most
Yeah.
situations, I know to use the word spectrum, there's a wide spectrum of it. Anybody ever
Mm-hmm.
have with it, it hasn't impacted on the process at all.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll obviously give that caveat. I'd like to, speak to them and see them and understand what the
Mm-hmm.
situation is. But, my attitude is let's work with them. And again, things like epilepsy,
Mm-hmm.
as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, don't work with people who are epileptic." I will contact their doctor to
Right.
understand.
Okay.
The doctor feels that hypnosis could possibly in any way trigger anything. I've never been turned, and all the times I've contacted anyone's doctor, I've never been turned down.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Um, now, at the risk of insulting, I'll say I don't think the doctors know whether it would affect or not. We've got a lovely testimonial on the Google reviews where somebody says I haven't had an attack in 2 weeks or whatever. I can't remember what the time frame is, but
Mm-hmm. There's
so
improvement.
that's it. That's it. And this is
Mm-hmm.
someone who, now again, to keep the context, for a lot of people who have epilepsy throughout their life, this
Mm-hmm.
lady was, I think, in her 50s. Apologies if I'm misdirecting that.
Wow.
But, and all of a sudden started to have these epileptic type fits.
Oh, wow.
Talked to the doctor. He says, like, we've done all the tests. Same with things like, again, mentioned before, hit the record button there about sexual dysfunction, anything like erectile dysfunction, IBS,
Mm-hmm.
which could have gut health
Yes.
issues, or restrictions in the waterworks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk to the doctor, or have an understanding that they've seen the specialist. But again, a lot of times clients will say, "Oh, I've had gut issues for 20 years. I've spent thousands on private healthcare, checking out every X-rays, MRIs, whatever. Nobody can
Mm-hmm.
find anything wrong with it." And they keep telling me it's just all in my mind. Can you help?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the perfect phrase for me. I've been told by specialists they can't find anything wrong and it's all in the mind. You know,
Mm-hmm.
coin the joke, I can't fix a broken leg, but if it's in your head, I can fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's it. It's in your mind, but in a good way.
That's it.
Yeah. Um,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
migraines is another great thing. And I've got a couple of lovely video testimonials on there.
Mm-hmm.
One lady in particular had migraines every day for 9 years.
Oh my goodness. Right.
And and she was
Yeah.
so impressed with the therapy that she came. I delivered training as well,
I'm sure she
and
was.
she came on my
Yeah.
training course. And at the end of the training course, as we know, we've all been to training courses like this here. I said, "Can you give us a little testimonial now that the training course is
Mm-hmm.
over?" Of course, she's, "Oh, I don't have my makeup on." She said, I'll shoot one and send it to you."
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And then I heard she went back to from Northern Ireland back to England. And well, I'm not going to chase her. She's forgot all about the testimonial. And then three
Mm-hmm.
months later, it was just coming up to Christmas, got a Dropbox link in my inbox, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
testimonial. Now, I'd only asked for a testimonial for the training, but if you watch the video, she talks
Mm-hmm.
about
I'll put a
how she
link to.
overcome the migraine. So at that time of watching the video, making the video, she had 3 months without any migraines.
Wow.
Wow. So she was waiting to
Yeah.
see the results
That's
for
it. But
herself.
again,
Yeah.
I talked to the doctor and says, I just want to double check, have you done, they've done the MRIs and brain scans, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There was no signs of lumps or tumors or anything. What I don't want to do is give a suggestion that,
Oh, yes.
you not
Yeah.
feel anything when there is something. I mean, pain's a very, careful thing you need to watch. Pain is the body's way of saying, something's broke, something's not right. Whether it's
Exactly. Yes.
your
The
big
last
toe
resort.
because you bumped into the leg of a chair or whatever, um,
Yes.
it's saying look down. And the funny
Mm-hmm.
thing about pain is not in your toe. It feels like it's in your toe, but the nerves are sending a signal up to your brain to say something just got hit here, and the brain
Mm-hmm.
saying, right, send extra blood, and that's where it starts to turn red and thump. Um,
Yes.
boom, boom,
Reaction.
you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm being sort of Tom and Jerry exaggerating here, but the big red
Yeah.
toe. But
That's right. Whoop, whoop.
ultimately, the pain
Mm-hmm.
is in your brain saying, "Look down," and help
Yes.
direct you. It's going to say, "I'm going to make you feel like it's down there." But
Mm-hmm.
there's no soreness cells in your big toe any more than if you bump your
Mm-hmm.
elbow or whatever, or a paper cut. There's no soreness cells. There's it's the pain, the feeling is in your head,
Right. Okay. I
right?
didn't actually know that. That's interesting.
Everything's good. Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
So when to work with pain, all you have to do is say, again, I want to make sure if anybody comes to me for pain relief that it is chronic. Chronic means the doctors are saying this is a long-term effect. You're going to have this for the rest of your life. You know, it can't. It's not going to change. We've tried the tablets. We've tried this. We've tried that. We can manage it to some extent, but once it becomes chronic, it's there for life. That's when I'll step in and say, well, let's see. And a lot of time, I'll just say, let's turn it down from 100% down to maybe 60%.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will turn around and say, if you can get it down by 20% to 80, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the other concept of pain, just stop me from talking too much or try
No,
to.
it's fine. It's so interesting.
You know, a large segment of pain is outside of when it happens. So let's go very symmetrical here and say you have a shooting pain in your shoulder at the top of every hour, at 12 o'clock, at 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, right? 10 minutes before 12 o'clock, you're going, oh, it's going to come soon. And it's going to be sore. Hopefully not sore as 11 o'clock, but you know, it's probably going to be worse than it was at 10 o'clock, right? At 12 o'clock, boom, oh, there's that shooting pain again. And for the next 10 minutes, you're going to go, oh, that was worse than 10 o'clock and not as bad as 11 o'clock. And you're going to ruminate over it.
Yeah.
So again, if I can get you to stop thinking about it till it happens in the moment, and the minute it happens, stop thinking about it till it happens again in the next hour. For all intents and purposes, it may not be reduced by 2/3, but it reduce it to some extent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You talk to anybody that has the pain. It's not just the minute it shoots. It's telling their friend, they're in the pub going, oh, you know, every hour in the hour I get this shooting pain in my shoulder and it's killing me and all the rest.
Yes,
so they're constantly reinforcing it. And who's listening to all that reinforcement that they're consciously telling their friends in the pub, but their own conscious mind.
Yeah.
So if you can just switch off the dialogue before it happens and after it happens, yes, you still have that shooting pain, but as soon as it's gone, oh, right. So where were we? You know?
Yeah. No, I was going to ask, I don't know where this word's come from. It's not something I've ever, well, I have had that, you know, you get the ear throbbing at times, or your ears don't stop throbbing, but I've talked to people who've, didn't come to me for the help, but they had tinnitus. Is that the right way to say it? A constant ringing. I'm very curious about that, what that's about. What's the body doing physically? It's not something really, maybe I should go research it, but have you had anybody?
Indeed. Very, very common problem. And again, the thing is, I want to talk to the doctor, understand, make sure there's no, you know, blood vessel close to the ear canal that's causing this noise or whatever. And if they say, we've done all we can, he just has to take the tablets and live with it, then we can work to just, you know,
turn it down
and tuning it out for as much as it can. And for, again, just like pain, it's not, I've had some people have it has gone completely, but really can't stress this enough on this. There's no guarantees that of complete cessation. If we can just get it down to 30% of what it is at the moment, you know, we get down to 30% to 70% of the ringing, life changes for them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're nearly there. We well, if somebody wants to get in contact, maybe the tinnitus is somebody watching this and they have to, you know, you're there to help. They want to get in contact. You've got your number there on the screen.
There you go. Contact numbers, YouTube, social media things, all the rest of it. Website.
Yes.
So you've done my work. If this goes out in Spotify, it's feel-good.today. www. Everybody says, is that a .com or .co.uk? No, it's just .today. So
.today, yes.
Good.today is the website. It sounds good, but then people say, is that .com in the end?
Yes, I know it's the marketing aspect. We're so programmed. There's an example there. We're so programmed in marketing and seeing .coms or .co.uk or .esie, you know. Okay, so just to leave our listeners, we always ask everybody to leave our listeners with a thought or something they can take away today in a mind hack that you've learned through the process of working as a hypnotist.
I don't know if this is too short, but bottom line is, if you can think it, you can change the way you think. Yeah. Is that too short? You know,
it's not
really,
too short.
I mean, it really is all in the mind, and it really is in the way people talk to themselves and convince themselves. Even again, after what I'd said about pain, where pain's not in the big toe, it's just in your head, and you
Yeah,
just get
that's
that
fascinating.
throbbing in your ear.
Yes.
Your brain's directing you to your ear, but the pain is actually just inside your head. It's not in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Think,
might be
yeah.
like the cartoon throbbing a bit. They might turn, you might look at the mirror, oh, it is red or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just the brain saying, send, blood to that area because I want to get some more antibodies around there, or whatever, if there's an infection or just or a tinnitus or whatever it is, probably won't be red if it's tinnitus, but,
Mm-hmm.
it's all in the head,
Yeah.
and you created it.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't come across as you created it for a very good reason.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
again, it's
Protection, usually. Yeah, protection or
another.
survival.
I know I'm trying to wrap up here, but I was just one more anecdote. There's this guy, and he must have been about 6'5",
Mm-hmm.
and one time he was in a coffee shop, and he
Mm-hmm.
tripped on the doorstep on the way out. He didn't face plant. He didn't break his nose. He didn't crack a tooth.
Mm-hmm.
No real damage other than he stumbled. But
Right.
now he was agoraphobic. He didn't feel comfortable leaving the house.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is a guess because I don't probe inside people's brains. I don't know what he said to himself, but chances are he just simply said, "Don't ever let this happen to me again."
Mm.
Right? In that
Yeah.
instant, don't let this happen again. Right? Now, the brain could interpret that as, well, we just won't go near any coffee shops for the rest of our lives. We won't go
Mm-hmm.
to that area off. I don't even know where the shop is. Let's say Lisburn. Right, we'll just stay away from Lisburn and go to coffee shops in Belfast. But the brain in
Mm-hmm.
that moment, in that millisecond, said, "You stay in the house, you'll never trip again in a shop
Wow.
because you won't be in a shop." That's a guess
Yeah.
on my part, but that's the way he was manifesting. He was coming and said, "I had this trip, and now shortly after that, I just felt like I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
leave the house." And that's probably what the
Wow.
brain said. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? In that millisecond, it was probably the right thing to say. Don't go there again.
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
the unconscious mind took there as outside of the house.
Yes, literally, rather than just don't go back to that shop, even though
That's
you
it.
could go back and not have another stumble or fall.
Exactly. And there was no,
Um.
like I said, there was no, I mean, what we would, I mean, that to him is trauma, a simple trip. Maybe that,
Mm-hmm.
embarrassment, who was looking because, I'm tall or whatever. I don't know. You know,
Mm.
uh, that to him was traumatic. So
Mm-hmm.
trauma
Absolutely.
to one person, understanding that these, again, people coming in and say, I know it's silly, but I'm just sitting at the TV
Yeah.
having panic attacks. It's just like I was watching a movie and I just had this panic attack,
Mm-hmm.
had to leave.
Yeah.
There was something inside your head that was so real. It said, you are in danger. You need to get out of
Mm-hmm.
there.
It was
And it
phenomenal.
protected you by
Just,
having it.
uh-huh. It was more the embarrassment of terms of having that reaction, not being able to explain it. So I just thought, I'm going to let everybody finish it and I'm going to leave the room so I can deal with it. I felt I needed to be just somewhere alone so I could immediately start to work it out. And it
Let me
just
get
kept
my
coming
calendar
to,
up here and I'll book you in.
and took me in, yes.
Followed by Stuart
Brilliant.
for his little fear.
Yes. Is that anteaters? I never knew that about Stuart. I'm
There
finding
you
more
go.
about him every week.
There you go.
You learned more
Oh,
than just about
wow.
me today. So
Yeah. So,
hopefully that give you some insight. I mean, I could talk for another 2 hours if you wanted me to, but I don't
and
think
you
you.
are we here? We
We
Exactly.
we
we
can
would love
listen
you
to
to,
you.
and we'd love you to come back. Actually,
Yeah, I think there's definitely a return trip in
There
the
you
line.
go.
But let's wrap up and say goodbye, and then um we'll organise that. So yes, thank you, Turan. I get it right, Turan Mirza.
That's
Thank
it.
you so much. It's been so great to catch up with you after 11 years. And yes, he's got all his contact details there. If there's anything you want to share with us in the comments, you want to share your hypnosis experiences. Sometimes it is an experiment with ourselves. Yes, feel free to reach out if you want to contact us. We'll pass on the details, and yeah, we'll organise now then to get him back on and hear more stories and antidotes. Like we all love the stories, don't we?
Indeed,
So
indeed.
yes, have a great Sunday,
Thanks very much
and
for having me.
we'll see you. I'll see you next time. Right.
Darren, thank you so
Okay.
much, brother.
That was
Hopefully
brilliant.
that
I
was
was
good.
hypnotized the whole way.